Support WrestleTalk!
Thank you for your Patreon support, the Mayor of Painesville, Dan! The WWE Championship has been thrown in the bin. I'm Ollie Davis. This is the other one, Luke Owen. Welcome to the WrestleRamble SmackDown review. It's the post-Royal Rumble SmackDown episode where ECW style Shane Douglas from Eastern Championship Wrestling into Extreme Championship Wrestling, or I guess Medusa in WCW, plenty of... There's a rich tradition of chucking old titles in the bin or the trash can for an American translation. Daniel Bryan comes out here, says, hey, I've been a bit of a hypocrite. I've been wearing a belt made of leather. I'm supposed to be a vegan. Puts the belt in the bin, and his new lackey, Rowan, not Eric, produces a wood-carved and 100% sustainable hemp-made belt. What a goddamn heel, trying to save the world.
Well, I thought he was the ultimate heel because he came out for this promo wearing a t-shirt that said, no homophobia, no racism, no sexism, peace, love. And I was like, ugh. What a dick. What a total heel.
So we can't have the Attitude Era back, according to Daniel Bryan. This is outrageous.
He is the absolute worst.
It's remarkable that he has managed to create himself into such a hated, derided figure.
Yeah.
I was explaining this to I told my lady partner, who's very into saving the planet, this morning. That,
oh, God,
yeah,
what an
I
idiot,
know.
right?
Just awful to live with.
And you go to bed with her
I
all the
know,
time.
I hate it. I cry myself to sleep. We get nothing in common because I just want to burn the world.
And you dry your tears with slabs of bacon.
Yes, yeah. It gets really oily, but great skin.
You do
reduces wrinkles.
It is amazing that people think you're the oldest one of this trio.
Yeah, I don't know, on a diet of pure bacon. But they... yeah, but I've lost my train of thought now. So I was telling my lady partner, and I said that, because you like this stuff, and they've gotten rid of the old belt because it was made of leather, and he's a vegan, and they've got a recycled belt now. And I showed her a picture of the belt, and she goes, oh, that's great. And I went, oh, no, he's the bad guy. She didn't know if he was a heel or she just assumed, oh, he's the hero in this story.
Yeah.
No.
As when I remember when I'd only been working here not too long, but when Mike and Maria Kanellis debuted at Money in the Bank, and the gimmick was that they got married and Mike had taken on her name. I remember explaining to, she would have been my girlfriend at the time, now my wife. I was like, and he took on her name, and she was like, oh, that's really sweet. And I was like, no, they're the bad guys.
Yeah.
Because he took on her name.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's a cuck, you see, I guess.
It's a very fun sort of morality to dive into. But when it's performed well, I thought the Kanellis stuff fell pretty flat. But when it gets heat, you can't really argue with it.
Absolutely not.
Like if it works, it works.
It works.
If Nia Jax entering the Royal Rumble at number 30 in the men's match, and it works.
I was going to say, it has pissed off a lot of people and actually brought back a lot of the heat that she had lost following Survivor Series. So I would say that was a home run choice.
Yeah, and that is Vince McMahon all over. And we talk about how out of touch Vince McMahon is, how he relies on old gratuitous thinking or just ideas that don't build the future. You just focus on one person. And he pulls that out the bag, and I'm like, maybe the guy's got 5 years left.
I don't want him to leave.
I know, it's terrible. But so anyway, this was the main event segment of SmackDown. And it was Bryan coming out to, I guess, we were going to see the explanation behind Rowan joining him at Royal Rumble in the match against AJ. That was really the main storyline coming out of Sunday night. All that stuff was kind of secondary to him ditching the previous championship design and debuting his eco version.
Yeah, he just said that Rowan, he's someone who is on his intellectual level, and he's also doing this for the greater good because he does see me as the planet's champion.
Yeah.
And yeah, Rowan comes out wearing, I believe, an Ailstorm t-shirt, and he's just carrying this sack over his shoulder. And yeah, you're right, they just called him Rowan rather than Eric Rowan. Coming out to his old entrance music as well, which I popped a little bit for because it's really crap. But I really popped because his Titantron says Rowan, but the O is the recycle symbol. And I was like, that's great.
Yeah.
That's a lovely little touch.
And I love it. I don't think Rowan said a word. I don't think I've ever heard him say a word.
The
Now I'm
Bludgeon
thinking
Brothers
about it.
promos.
Oh, yeah.
He said loads of words.
Oh, I forgot the Bludgeon Brothers happened. I just thought it went straight from Wyatt family into this. He's an impressionable young man.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah, don't like, I can see him joining another cult or just giving all his money to someone. This Nigerian prince wants me to help him out. I'm sure I can wire him some money.
It was really funny as well because Brian's promo was kind of talking about sort of like what a smart guy Eric Rowan is. And I thought to myself, this was what Rowan's single career was. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
When he went solo from the Wyatt family, his gimmick was, he's smarter than you think. He's a vintner. He can solve Rubik's Cubes really quickly.
A vintner?
Yes, he makes wine.
Okay.
And he's like really good at the guitar and things like this. And they tried to make it, I completely misjudged this person. So it's nice that in almost a bit of continuity, they've kind of tied this all together to create this one character if you ignore all the Bludgeon Brothers stuff.
SmackDown's quite good at that. They do that. We'll talk about it later with the Mandy Rose Naomi stuff. Just trying to find little threads somewhere to justify storylines. And as a continuity obsessive, I like that. I really, really appreciate it.
I feel like that's one they've stumbled across, though.
Hey, but I don't mind. I don't mind.
I don't mind it, Val, but I think it's one they stumbled across by accident.
Yeah, so Brian talks about how he is now, him and Rowan are now a thing. I don't buy into Rowan.
The crowd
don't think
either.
anyone
He still
does.
comes out to crickets.
Yeah, and it just feels he's so transparently someone who's been slotted into this position. And if it was Luke Harper, who's genuinely over, I think a lot of people would be more into it. But Rowan was always the weakest part of any act he's been in.
Yeah, that's very true. And it kind of reminds me of, when Punk was on the Colt Cabana podcast, the podcast that shall not be spoken of, he talked about in that they wanted to put Big Show with Punk as like, he'll be your heater. And I remember thinking at the time, that'd have been a really weird pairing. I can't see that as a thing. And it's kind of the same thing here. It's like, we've put Eric Rowan with you because you need a heater. But I'm like, but it's not, it doesn't really work.
Explain a heater to the crowd.
Someone to get extra heat for.
Yeah. So they stand outside and help you do screwy finishes.
Basically what the Big Show was doing for the bar.
Yeah.
Not too long ago in a dropped storyline.
I forgot about that too. But Brian kind of pushes past the Rowan stuff and he proceeds to cut an excellent promo.
So awesome.
On the WWE Championship belt. And he says, hey, in the build-up to our feud, AJ, you called me a hypocrite. And you know what? I agree. Oh, before that, he had a great line about saying, who won at the Royal Rumble? And everyone's chanting,
Becky.
Becky. And he went, no. it was me and all of you because I'm helping. So it was great already. But then he talks about how he is a hypocrite. Because I've been walking around with this belt made of leather.
Yeah, but it's not just because it's made of leather. It's all got gaudy stuff on it as well.
And this is we've been making jokes about this for months, ever since he became the champion, all the way back when he was a babyface.
Yeah.
And he was a vegan and he had the belt made of leather, which was an old Solomonster audio clip he used to play all the time. But yeah, he tells this story about how this belt was once a cow. And for the purpose of this story, I'm going to call that cow Daisy. And he gives it humanity and how she was sacrificed for a symbol. And this symbol is, just like, I don't know what. It was a really intelligent promo with a lot of substance.
Yeah, he said Daisy. Daisy felt joy. Daisy knew what joy was, but she didn't get to feel it very often. Daisy also knew pain, which she felt a lot of when she was slaughtered to make this symbol. I thought it was a really, really great promo. I don't think the crowd were completely on board because they weren't booing it. They were more making fun of it. But I don't know whether it kind of worked or whether it didn't. Because the crowd were chanting, "Thank you, Daisy." And then when he was throwing it in the trash, they were chanting, "Goodbye, Daisy."
Yeah. It was, and Burn It Down.
Burn
then
It
they
Down.
chant when they unveiled the wood version. Witty crowd.
Witty.
It's the post-Rumble crowd.
Yeah, Bizarro World.
Yeah. They did make a lot of fun of it, but I felt like some of the things, usually when Brian cuts a promo like this, he's saying, I'm going to make you guilty about things you enjoy. But this went another level. This was like, you're killing sentient creatures here. And it's not so much a boo you, it's a, I feel weird, and I don't know whether to boo or who am I booing? What happened to Daisy again?
Yeah.
It was such a smart promo. The guy is phenomenal right now.
What did I do to Daisy? Oh,
yeah. But then, they unveil this design, which looks. I mean, I like it.
I like it. It's so plain. I've never really liked this WWE Championship anyway. I think this WWE Championship is. I mean, it's better than the spinner belt, but it's one of the worst.
I mean, the spinner belt is abhorrent.
That is. Yeah. It's a gross championship belt. But I'd say that this one was like a step above the spinner, but so far below like the Big Eagle or the World or anything like that.
I've heard there's 2 designs. There might be another design popping out which has more green on it, like sort of green, not jewels, but sort of recyclable stones, I don't know, but like pops of green on it, and they went for this one. I don't know if the other design will come back. This was from WrestleVotes.
Oh, I see.
It's very trustworthy, and it's a great idea.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's, as you said, it's something we've been sort of making fun of, and I think he did something at TLC on like a WWE.com thing, or where people said, oh, he's introducing a new belt. And I was like, that seems like such a great TV segment. Why aren't they doing that as a TV segment? And it was just perfect to do as a TV segment.
Yeah.
It worked so well. I thought it was a home run segment. I really, really liked it.
I agree. Home run segment, crowd chanting, burn it down, and it just sends Brian into going, ignorant.
Yeah.
Ignorant. The only thing I would change, and this isn't like, it would just, I think, elevate it even more, is rather than just putting the belt in the bin, he takes a sledgehammer to it, or he actually destroys the belt.
Yeah.
Because I got putting it in the bin works, but as a visual, I think in those video package replays at the end when you're building to your title, and he's really disrespecting the belt by ripping it to shreds.
Maybe like once Brian does lose the belt, we'll be introduced to a new WWE Championship, or they'll just bring back the leather one again.
Yeah, I think the leather one will come back.
Yeah.
But after this, we got our build to Elimination Chamber, which was AJ Styles came out, and I thought, oh, here we go. This makes sense because he was screwed out of the title at Royal Rumble. But then Randy interrupted him almost from out of nowhere, I guess.
AJ had a good line where he said, "Did you smoke the prototype of that belt?"
There were some great lines in this segment.
There really, really was.
95% from Samoa Joe.
Oh, well, yeah. I would almost say 98% from Samoa Joe. But yeah, then Randy came down, and then it went to an ad break, came back. Jeff Hardy was in the ring, and Mustafa Ali was cutting a promo. And then, then Samoa Joe came out. And Joe essentially just pointed at each person and just sort of like, just made fun of them.
Destroyed them.
Absolutely. It was like, I'm just going to, I'll defang the Viper. Jeff Hardy already destroyed you. Jeff goes to speak and he's like, no, we're not at AA now.
Oh my God.
This is not an AA meeting, but I do have something to share with the rest of the group.
Why don't you act like this is an AA meeting and shut your mouth? Orton laughed. I'm pretty sure Jeff was laughing. That line was so good.
It was great. It was really good. So it says that he's already beaten up Ali.
Yeah,
and
choked him out.
And then he just turns to AJ and is like, how's Wendy?
Yeah, and then they all start brawling. Samoa Joe, Brian is a great promo. Joe is just as good a promo in a different way.
Yeah, it really is.
And this is like pure Joe Unleashed. Go for it. Oh, it's an absolutely amazing run of things. And all the while, they start brawling, and Brian is on the outside all of a sudden. He's on the announcer's desk, and he's screaming at them all, saying, I'm not going to face any of you, blah, blah, blah. And Triple H appears on the Titantron. I quite enjoyed this presentation, and I don't know how I didn't see it coming. Triple H goes, well, you're not going to face just one of them. You're going to face all of them. And as soon as he said, all, I was like, yes, of course it is. There's 6 people out there.
In my head, I saw 5 people in the ring, and I was like, oh man, they're going to do a 5-way #1 contendership match for WrestleMania.
Classic Fastlane.
Such an idiot.
Yeah, of course it's Elimination Chamber. What a match that's going to be.
Yeah, that should be really good. I'd have preferred it without Jeff and Randy, but that's just me. I would have rather some different faces in there, but at the same time, I don't mind it at all, mate.
I don't mind it because you've got Jeff and Orton as your kind of legends, and balancing it out, you've got Ali in there. So Ali having some exchanges, or maybe even eliminating a Hardy and an Orton, I think is much more beneficial to just having all our favourites in there.
Well, do you not think the match would have been better with Andrade and Rey, though?
No.
No?
I think this is like the match would have been better as a thing, but for mainstream to get Ali over, to continue that journey, these are good people to put him in the ring with, just for name association.
Well, so is Rey Mysterio.
Gets the rub. Yeah, but there's Rey and Ali are kind of, well, that Orton makes sense. I don't know why, it just makes sense in my head. Plus, you can spin off Mysterio and Andrade into their own match.
Well, yeah, it appears they're going to be having a match at Elimination Chamber. I suppose you've got to fill out the undercard in some way. As I said, I don't mind it too much. Other faces I would have preferred, because Jeff and Randy do very little for me. But I can certainly, it makes sense to put them in the match. Makes a lot of sense.
And Brian runs away as they're all brawling, runs up the ramp.
But as the show's going off the air, Eric Rowan started attacking Randy Orton.
Yeah.
And then they just cut to black.
I mean, it's Brock Lesnar F5ing all over again. It's definitely a direction that they thought up over the weekend. Let's go off air chaotically. And I'm all for it. Ring the bell, WCW style. A great main event segment, but there were quite a few talking points elsewhere in SmackDown. Let's get on with the full show.
It's a SmackDown review, Maggle. I love it. We got us a flying Uso.
Loads of good wrestlers we just talked about there. Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, Mustafa Ali, Andrade, Cien Almas. But where do they rank in the WrestleTalk 100? That's right, issue 8 of the WrestleTalk magazine is available for order now in PDF form and physical form. There's a link in the video description below to go to our shop and buy it there. And it's our annual ranking of the 100 best wrestlers in the world. And it is so in-depth. We have an input on it that a bunch of other people at WrestleTalk, but it's mainly James Dixon's mind, who just knows so much about wrestling. He is a walking stats machine.
He is an encyclopedia.
Yeah.
I mean, you could pretty much just say to him, like, give him a date of a Raw episode and he can tell you what happened on it.
And he also knows all the indies and what's going on everywhere. So it really is like such a fascinating, exhaustive list. And you'll find a lot of people on there where you're like, I haven't heard about this guy. I'll check him out. That's how we get all our stuff from Dixon.
I was going to say, they'll be signed to WWE next
year.
Yeah.
So, check out the link in the video description below. But SmackDown kicked off with the main event program of WWE.
Yeah, it's the most interesting thing in WWE right now for me. Really, really is. There's Becky Lynch coming out. They showed a recap of Becky winning the Rumble and then challenging Ronda Rousey on Raw. And then she comes out still selling the effects of the Royal Rumble, which I'm very, very...
hobbling on that angle.
And that played into a storyline that sort of played out a little bit in this show. And she says that unlike Ronda, she doesn't crumble. Yeah, I may have lost to Asuka, but I won the Royal Rumble. And I came back and I'm always fighting. And she talked about how, like, because Ronda's whole deal was, like, when you were, like, on the pre-show, I was stealing the show in my debut match, and, you know, while you were training, I was main eventing pay-per-views. And Becky was like, I'm proud to have trained. I'm proud to have gone from the pre-show to the main event. That's really good. And I'm sitting there going like, yeah, you're right, it is, Becky. That is really good.
Yeah, that line in particular was very, very effective because... yeah, I've worked myself up from the pre-show at last year's Mania to the main event of this year. And the key line for me in this was, and I wasn't handed nothing.
Exactly.
Implying that Ronda has been. And Becky's really worked herself up from the bottom.
Are you saying that Ronda hasn't been handed?
I just said, maybe when you come in, she had a little bit of buzz, didn't she, when she joined the company?
A touch, yeah.
I thought this was a terrific promo. And that video package at the start was very well done. And it really made me sit back and go, this is... the legit main event. It is so... because, like, all the WWE women's wrestling stuff over the last few years with Charlotte and Sasha's feud and Ronda joining the promotion last year and the Asuka undefeated streak and Nia Jax, it's like, I've enjoyed it, but really it's kind of... that there was a part of me that was going, I'm just saying that I'm forcing myself to enjoy it because I want women's wrestling to be treated equally in WWE. And all of those things I just listed off, I feel, come with a huge asterisk of loads of things they got wrong. And actually, it wasn't 100% effective and mid-card at best, really, compared to the other stuff that was going on in the show.
Of those, the only ones I disagree with is the Asuka, which I thought was excellent until they dropped the ball with it.
I feel like she never fully caught a light.
In NXT?
Oh, sorry, I'm talking just main roster.
Main roster. Okay,
just main roster.
Fair enough.
But here we have... a legit Ronda Becky. I'm not saying this is a great women's program. This is a great wrestling program, and that's what real equality is all about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm very, very happy, and I'm so into both of them.
God, your PC nonsense.
I know. My girlfriend's getting to me. What's she talking about? Charlotte comes out though, and brilliantly takes credit for Becky's success.
Yeah, essentially, she says that she goes, "You won a match you weren't even in. I guess you did learn something from Charlotte Flair after all." And she starts applauding her. She's so insincere with this, and sort of like going like, "Yay, you won." Becky, which is the perfect response, and they've got a brilliant picture of this. I was so hoping they'd captured this on WWE.com, and they have. Which Becky just smiles and just punches her in the face, and it is a Jeff Jarrett-like punch. Such a great punch. Loved it.
Yeah. Do you think Charlotte had heel makeup on?
I did not ask my cousin, but I think she's had heel makeup on since her heel turn that you said was a babyface turn.
She's a tweener. She's definitely a tweener, I think. But they have a brawl off the back of that. Becky just awesomely starts walking away after flooring Charlotte with a single punch.
Said everything she needed to.
Yeah, and Charlotte goes after her. They brawl. They're separated, and during the brawl, Becky's like kind of limping a bit more.
Yeah,
and this was terrific attention to detail from a storytelling thing, because Charlotte decides, I'm not going to keep beating you up anymore. She stands on the steps and just laughs and points at Becky's ankle.
Yeah, she starts even like hobbling herself to make fun of her, going like, "Oh, you're all right." And then Becky, she left the show and she got into her car, and Kayla Braxton walked up and said like, "You didn't want medics to look at your ankle." And Becky's like, "I'm fine." And it's but it's that they're telling the story that she is clearly injured, but she doesn't want to admit that she's injured in case she loses the match again like she did at Survivor Series, which I think is actually a really, really nice story to tell.
It's a great story, and it makes Becky. It makes Mecca Becky. It makes Becky even more of an not that she's an underdog now because she's winning everything, but it puts a wrinkle in there, and it makes me more invested in the story.
Yeah,
I think it's a terrific piece of storytelling.
I'll tell you what's the most fascinating thing about the Becky-Charlotte feud, and I sort of made a joke about this in the SmackDown review, but I'm really not down on it because I think I'm imagining some people will think I'm being snarky about it when I'm actually not. But this is a feud that has been going on since SummerSlam. That is a long time. That's 9 months. And yet it still doesn't feel like they've been going at it for 9 months. It still feels like they've always seemed to find new ways to make this feel fresh and different. And you think like they've had match after match after match. These two have just been the focus of the SmackDown Women's Division now for 9 months. But it doesn't really feel like it's been 9 months. It's not like, when Joe and AJ were feuding, we were like, good Lord, they're just having match after match after match, and it's going nowhere. This feels like it's always going somewhere.
It's because there's so many plates spinning. They've spiraled it off into a feud with Asuka. There was a little bit of Carmella in there for a bit. Really, the big feud is with Ronda on the other brand. So you've got all these different directions, and that's what we always talk about when you have these... A great long arc of a feud that goes a year doesn't mean you have the same matchup between them every month. It means you have about 4 matches and you interweave other wrestlers and storylines into that one feud. And that's what they're doing here. It's great. It's
really
very,
is.
very good.
Yeah.
And I guess you can make the argument that the dynamics have changed. And not in a rushed way, but in a very interesting way, and the right way, turning Becky babyface. Okay, now we get to some very, very bizarre happenings.
Yeah, they had some wrestling on this show. This was bizarre.
Not much. So R-Truth comes out with Carmella and says, hey, if I wasn't taken out by Nia Jax at number 30 in the Men's Royal Rumble, I would have won it.
Absolutely. He said, 1 minute I was rapping, the next I was napping.
Yeah. And... the McMahons apparently agree with him because they have granted him a United States Championship opportunity against new champion Shinsuke Nakamura here.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I've seen Truth have these matches with Nakamura for the US title just a few months ago. Over very quickly.
Absolutely. I'd thought it's a nice little way to kind of restart this Nakamura United States Championship run. The last one was a complete wet fart because we didn't put it on TV, didn't give him a storyline. It was bad. So maybe this will be a nice little fresh start. He can get a win over R-Truth, and then he can start his next program, which we thought might be Ali or Samoa Joe or something along those lines. But no, then R-Truth rolled him up. The referee counted 2. Nakamura kicked out, and the referee pointed to the bell. And they continued to wrestle, but then the bell rang, and the commentators acted confused. The guys in the ring acted confused. Nakamura started arguing with the referee, and then they're like, I think Truth's the champion. And then they announced, after showing several replays, that Truth is the champion.
Showing several replays of Nakamura kicking out, and Todd Phillips going, he got his shoulders up before the 3 count there, and then on the next replay, well, it looks like he's the champion. This was so weird.
Yeah,
so weird. As soon as that happened, I was like, well, this is definitively, this is a botch.
Yeah.
This is AJ Styles. What is wrong with the US title? This is AJ Styles and Kevin Owens at Backlash? Battleground? Can't remember what it was.
Fastlane?
Yeah, Fastlane, one of them. And yeah, the key for me was Truth went to go into the next spot after the kick out. And if the plan was that it was going to be a screw finish, surely you just have Truth run up and start celebrating, and Nakamura goes to do the next thing.
Yeah.
But this was I still can't figure out what's gone on here.
I've written in my notes, this has to be a mistake. It was a total mistake. Nakamura clearly kicked out. This is a complete botch result. But then Rusev comes out and starts cutting a promo, a heelish promo, on Truth being champion and saying, like, look at you, you're a joke, why are you the champion? And then they had a match for the belt, and Rusev and Nakamura Rusev did this big heel turn angle where Truth beat Rusev, and then Nakamura and Rusev have formed a team. So I'm thinking to myself, like, it must have been the plan. I don't think it was the finish.
Yeah.
I think the Truth was always destined to win, perhaps with a roll-up. I don't think it was meant to be that roll-up.
Potentially, yeah. I don't know. It could easily just have been this was something planned for next week, or like the Rusev-Nakamura combination, and accidentally, because, I don't know, but how do you get to Rusev and Nakamura teaming up if the US title's on one of them? This is so weird. And it just makes it more confusing that Rusev just walks out, who's been a babyface for quite a while now, and he's suddenly saying, R-Truth, you don't deserve the United States title. The crowd are like, what? Do we boo you now? It's exactly the same case as Elias the previous night.
Rusev was a babyface literally on Sunday defending the title. And here he just came out like nothing had happened, cutting a heel promo, and then completes that heel turn by beating down and teaming with the guy who on 2 days previous had led to his wife getting so hurt she couldn't even compete in the Royal Rumble. Lana's on the outside cheering.
Yeah.
And like celebrating along with him. I was like, why is none of you mad?
Rusev, Nakamura, crush. We're like, what are you doing? Why, Lana?
I know, like we sort of talked about in the Raw episode, that these shows always feel like a bit of a reset.
Yeah.
But if it's a reset that's got to make sense.
This is a crash reset.
This really did not make sense.
This is a task manager, close all programs, and without saving reset.
Absolutely. And like someone pointed this out on Discord, that like they've done the same, because they did this with Elias on Monday. They've taken 2 really over baby faces and looked at them and thought, probably should be heel though.
Let's make him a tag team act. Oh, didn't he have that with Rusev? No. He's much better as a commentator on 205 Live. Good grief. Well, this segment just sort of fizzles out as well. Nakamura and Rusev are standing over Truth. Rusev looks a bit, what's going on here, Nakamura? But I guess that makes sense because he's weighing up in his own mind whether he wants to team with this guy who's been terrorizing him off of TV for a while. And then it goes to the announcers, and they seem confused. They just throw to the next segment.
And I completely agree with you. They were sort of acting as confused, which it does make storyline sense in a way. But why wasn't Lana doing anything? Why wasn't Lana... Like, Lana was a non-factor in all of this.
Well, so when Rusev and Lana came out and challenged R-Truth and Carmella pushed over Lana. That was as much as they factored into it.
But why was Lana a heel?
I don't... Because... This was so weird. I cannot wait for Meltzer to say what he's heard backstage, but at the time of recording we haven't heard what's gone on here.
This will probably be one of those things where it's been completely like unveiled and revealed by the time this goes live, and we'll look like complete morons because then they go like, I don't know what's happened.
Well, look, even if this was the plan, it was executed really badly,
very poorly,
because it just made everyone confused. And there's good kind of confusions where you're like, oh my god, what's going to happen next week? But then there's another type of confusion that's like, nah, you screwed up.
Yeah,
what did you meant to do?
I have to say, turning Rusev heel is such an error.
Well, turning Rusev heel to team with Nakamura as a heel act, as what happened in the segment later, that has me intrigued.
Yeah.
I'm not totally against that. But yeah, Rusev, the whole Rusev Day thing, yeah. So it's a real shame that US title vortex has sucked up all of... I mean, Nakamura, Rusev was the most over person in the company this time last year. And now look what's happened.
And it's funny as well, like someone put this out on Discord where they said, for weeks and months we've been complaining the US title's not been featured and Nakamura and Rusev haven't been featured. Then they're featured and we're all complaining about it. And I completely get that argument, but at the same time it's that just because they're on TV doesn't make it good.
Yeah, it's classic WWE. You want that thing? Well, here it is, and we're going to make it rubbish.
Yeah.
And then it cuts backstage and R-Truth's holding his arm, being seen to by a medic. And he's like, I'm the United States champion. I'm like, you are? Wow, okay.
Yeah, and they set up an angle later on where Rusev, the Good Brothers approach Rusev and ask him, hey man, that wasn't cool. And I'm like, are you still here?
Well, they've been hanging out with the United States Vortex. They all exist in that dimension.
And then, Rusev doesn't really say much, but Rusev tells him to go back to catering, which I thought was a good line. And then Anderson challenges him to a match. Rusev said this is not a one-time... and then Nakamura walks in, and Rusev looks at him and said, like, this is a one-time thing. Do not screw me over. So there is some intrigue there. It's not what I would have done, but there is some intrigue there.
No. It's it's very confusing. But I am excited about the potential of Nakamura and Rusev.
At least Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows are going to get some TV time next week. Yeah. Although I did think that I thought they said this match was tonight.
I thought that too.
Because when they did the Daniel Bryan segments, I was like, it's funny that they're going to end with that tag match, though. That seems like a really odd way to end this show. But I mean, I'm not totally against it because I could do with some wrestling on this very talky show.
Like I predicted accurately on Monday that Atami would be handing in his notice in our Royal Rumble review. Good Brothers aren't going to be around much longer. That's the next report, surely. Yeah. Good Brothers again too. So yeah, just really, really weird. In between that backstage bit and the match, we had Rey Mysterio come out for a match against Samoa Joe.
Yes, but Joe doesn't come out. Zelina Vega comes out, and she says that it's Rey's fault that she was banned from ringside last week. What's the problem? Are you too distracted by me?
I certainly am often with the Street Fighter attire.
Say, when she came out dressed like Vega, it's the most sexually confused I've ever felt.
And also there was the outfit she was wearing here seemed entirely comprised of arrows, white arrows. I was just like, how's this work? I don't know what's going on, but my eyes can't look away.
And then Andrade attacked Rey from behind, and they had sort of like a bit of back and forth with Andrade laying him out with the hammerlock DDT. No Samoa Joe whatsoever. I guess that match wasn't going to happen.
So talking of people looking great in their attire, I thought Andrade looked great as well in his white suit.
Oh, he looked like $1 million.
Yeah.
CN.
It's 100, right?
Yeah, he
looked like $100.
$100 million.
He looked like a budget suit from Top Man.
Mate, $100 a budget suit. How much are you spending on suits?
Well, like $100 would be about 60, 70 quid.
That's still a lot of money to spend on a suit.
No, it's not objectively.
Is it not?
No.
What?
Well, like a normal adult amount to pay for a suit is about £200 to £300.
No, it is not.
And then a really, really nice suit is like an excess of, ones that I don't own are in excess of £1,000.
This seems like a ludicrous amount of money to spend on something so superficial. This cost me £8.
I know. Well, yeah. Well, I think there's different levels there. You look great. You look great, but
thanks, man.
You don't enter the suit world that often. How much was your wedding suit?
Yeah, but that was a wedding suit, and I hired it as well. I didn't buy it, and my mum paid for it as well because it was a wedding gift.
Brilliant. I think you're arguing my case. Paige had a movie promo next for Fighting My Family, which is out in 2 weeks on Valentine's Day.
And it has had middling reviews.
Yeah. Oh, has it? I haven't seen the reviews yet.
Everyone has said very run-of-the-mill. It's every sports story you've ever seen, but good bit of heart to it.
Yeah.
Hollywood Reporter were not as nice, but they were just like, a few scenes with a rock does not make up for the fact that your story is very, very average.
I thought this would be a lot better if Paige was still SmackDown general manager. Like, seeing Paige on screen, we haven't seen her since that late December address to the crowd where it's unceremoniously said, oh yeah, she's not going to be here anymore, but thanks very much, Paige.
Yeah.
Woo, great job.
It wasn't the crowd, it was to the...
Yeah, sorry, to the roster. So I miss Paige. She's really good at being an on-air character. It's baffling that they haven't found something for her.
Yeah, but, it's all Baron Corbin's fault, I guess.
Yeah. And then we got Shane and Miz. Shane McMahon came out with The Miz, and they were introduced by the ring announcer as the best tag team in the world.
Yeah.
And they got a really good reaction from the crowd.
Crowd love Shane. They really do. And they're really into Miz as a babyface as well. Credit to WWE. I genuinely did not think you could do Miz as a babyface, because the last time they did it, it was a disaster.
He's come on so much since then, though.
Yeah.
He's so talented now.
I think they've done a really, really solid job of getting this act over. And the crowd are really, really into it. So happy to see them as the tag team champions. And this segment was a bit lovely, really.
I agree. Shane says, I've got a gift for you for helping me achieve my boyhood dream. It starts off with a video package. This video package was so good that they made this storyline seem coherent. Like, they made the whole Shane Miz weird mess that's been going on since November seem like a really coherent, succinct redemption story for Miz in the eyes of his father.
Yeah.
And I got so invested in Miz as a babyface just off this. And it made me think, is that why WWE tells such bad week-to-week stories? Because their video editing department is so good, by the time the pay-per-view comes around and the go-home video packages, it's fine. They can make sense of it all.
Yeah. It's a real testament to how good WWE are at these video packages. Because this was an excellent, excellent video package. That when I watched it, I was like, God, it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, my notes aren't like, oh my God, what an amazing video package, because I think that goes without saying. But like, really, it's just like, yeah, no, I think this is all right now.
Yeah, and I'm really into both guys and this act. Yeah.
Look at you, into Shane McMahon in 2019.
I know, I'm more into Miz, but yeah, Shane is a part of it. And Shane brings out after that Miz's dad.
George Mizanin with his wonderful mustache.
Who has been just such a comedy figure over the years. Like when, I can't remember who it was, but Miz was being beaten up at ringside and Miz's dad could be seen laughing at him in the front row of the crowd.
Yeah.
So just all these, but his mum was selling it really big.
Yeah.
But yeah, George comes out wearing a Miz and Mrs. top and says...
Miz and what now?
Miz and Mrs.?
Is that what the top he had? I thought it's Miz and Mac.
Oh, was it Miz and Mac?
Yeah,
oh.
Because you see Miz, and I wonder if this is subtle storytelling. I'm not going to say it is, because it could just be ego. But Miz is wearing their joint gear. He's wearing a t-shirt that says Miz and Mac, whereas Shane is only wearing stuff that says Shane O'Mac. He's only wearing his own gear.
Oh, possibly. That's a good
A
wrinkle.
bit like Triple H whenever he's on a Survivor Series team. I'm not wearing one of those Raw t-shirts. I'm not a nerd. I'm going to wear one of my own t-shirts, thank you very much.
Anyway, then we got George doing the lovely bit where he said to Miz, I love you, and I'm very proud of you.
Lovely
And
stuff.
it was actually really nice. And
Yeah.
this was, Miz, this detestable heel, this ego-driven maniac. There he is. Kind of like the Seth Triple H thing the previous night. It was like,
Yeah, very nice.
WrestleVotes also reported that that's a shoot, the Triple H Seth Rollins stuff. That was Triple H going backstage saying we need to make Seth our main guy.
Yeah, I heard
And a
this
lot of that
well.
stuff was genuine in the ring.
And the other WrestleVotes thing as well is that because they reported prior to the Royal Rumble, they had a big storyline planned, and a lot of people went after them saying, like, you misreported this. Apparently, the big storyline was Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
They were going to do a really big angle with Dean Ambrose at the Royal Rumble, but then when he handed in his release, or asked for his release, they scrapped the angle.
Yeah, and let Aleister Black throw him out.
Yeah.
So Shane then says, after this lovely moment, it didn't turn into an angle. Maybe that will. Maybe now George is in this feud. The Usos are going to lock him up or something.
Well, I was disappointed that George was not with them when they were watching the tag match later.
Like, yeah, sharing a beer with Miz, maybe playing catch in the background. But Shane introduced a 4-way elimination match to decide the new number one contenders. Elimination is key there, because I forgot. And I was like, oh my God, Heavy Machinery just won. What a push.
But before we get to that tag match, Sonya and Mandy were backstage and just said, "We're in the chamber."
There was more to it than that.
No, I know there's more to it than that, but everyone else is qualifying. Why do they just get to say they're in it?
Yeah. Because there aren't enough teams to qualify against on SmackDown.
You could put some Franken teams together, get some people up from NXT, get some local enhancement talent in.
That is a bit of an oversight. But I like this segment because it started with a clip from Tough Enough 2015, which is where Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville came from and met and became best friends from. And it's a shot of Naomi just saying, "Hey, this is a really tough job. And to be on the road day after day, you've got to be really tough. You can't be weak." And then you can see Mandy in the group of people she's addressing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's the motivation for why she hates Naomi.
But it's not just that. So she called her weak. This is when Naomi was in Team Bad with Sasha Banks and Tamina. And they were doing, I guess, some drills and stuff. And she was telling Tamina, splash her. And you can, they kind of do a little silhouette thing, not a silhouette, but a highlight thing of Naomi pointing at Mandy Rose and say, splash her. And Sonya's like, Mandy just, she cried all the way home and she's never really recovered from that mentally. And I think that's a really, really nice little bit of continuity storytelling. Yeah. As I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they accidentally stumbled across this and were we need a reason for these two to feud. That's fallen into our laps. How fortuitous.
Yeah.
But it is very, very nice. It did lead to some abhorrently bad Corey Graves commentary though for the rest of the night, where he just would not shut up about it.
Yeah, particularly in this following tag match. Yeah. But I thought the Rose Sonya stuff, I like it when a little thing, it's like it seems small, but actually those are the things that really stay with you and can inform big revenge stories later down the line. Yeah. It's kind of like the Rosebud of payoffs from Citizen Kane. It's like, it was just a sledge.
I thought you meant Adam Rose for a second.
No. All that was about a sledge. All that was about Tamina splashing them.
Spoilers for Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
I did think as well, because someone said on Discord that made me laugh. I was like, the show literally is called Tough Enough. That was the point.
Not the least weak.
Yeah. But I thought perhaps this is just another one of those Vince McMahon, having a pop at millennials thing, feeling they're entitled, because Mandy is the heel here. And so she is crying crocodile tears for something that Naomi did, which she should have done anyway.
And they're all millennials.
Yes.
They're all millennials.
Yep.
Then we got the tag team match to
some wrestling.
Make the number one contender. It was New Day versus Heavy Machinery versus The Bar versus the Usos. Heavy Machinery still haven't committed to a brand. No EC3 this week. No Lacey Evans this week.
No Nikki Cross.
But Nikki Cross was on a graphic.
Yep, because she's on next week's show. And at least,
no Lars Sullivan.
Nikki Cross, at least Nikki Cross and Lacey Evans were in the Rumble. We haven't seen EC3 now for weeks. I made a joke about it in the review about, has anyone seen him?
Yeah.
But I also
maybe he got locked in that hotel room he keeps walking into.
I thought this was funny as well, because by their own admission, by WWE's own admission, the SmackDown tag team division was stale because it was the same three teams fighting each other all the time. And they made up 3/4 of this match.
But yeah, Heavy Machinery were in there.
And I thought they looked the best of all three teams, because this match really put a lot of focus on Heavy Machinery, which I thought is a really good way to get them over. Not being a horny goblin, not just making milkshakes backstage. It's putting them out in wrestling matches and letting them show off their characters in ring. This made them look great. I didn't see the match they had on Raw, but so I don't know if that did the same deal. But I thought this was a really, really good way to show off Heavy Machinery.
This was much better because it was essentially the Usos, the New Day, the Bar, 3 fantastic teams, all great wrestlers, really designing the match for Heavy Machinery spots.
Really.
Whereas the other match, I can't remember who they faced.
The Ascension?
Was it the Ascension? Yeah.
That was a guess.
I think it was, though. And it was just, here's a few Heavy Machinery spots, boof, it's over in 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So this is a much more effective way of doing it. And the match really was built around it. And initially, the crowd were middling. There was a bit of a pop for when Otis and Big E did a stare down and a few collisions. But then Otis and Tucker did their bushwhacker stuff and marching around the ring. The crowd weren't into that at all. It was crickets. But by the end, and you've got Otis doing the caterpillar worm, people loved him. And Otis was the star of the match.
He's the star of that team. He always has been, really, as wide as he is tall. I like Corey Graves, though. His one shining moment of commentary said that he looks like Gwildor from Masters of the Universe, which is a shockingly accurate.
I really appreciated the shot backstage, which we alluded to earlier, of Miz and Shane McMahon watching this match, because these are the future title contenders. They're not watching awkwardly in a weird backstage area. They have a little viewing room with a TV set up and 2 nice comfy chairs pointing at the TV.
Hey, well, he's a McMahon. He's not some jabroni that's just going to stand around backstage looking at a screen. He's going to be in a really weirdly lit office. It didn't look like it was like there was no natural light in there.
It looked like a cinema room.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm going there to enjoy the broadcast of SmackDown, this show that I supposedly run and arrive late to every week.
Is he? I mean, the McMahons run it, but is Shane specifically running SmackDown?
Well, Shane appeared to book this match.
Well, which I suppose he would have ability to do so, but surely he could do that on Raw as well, because the
He has booked matches on Raw.
Because the McMahons run the show. Right? Yeah.
There's no authority figures, remember, guys, in the new era. So who was eliminated first? Otis caught Kofi off a dive, and then Tucker pinned him to eliminate the New Day.
The compactor to get the pin on New Day.
And then the Bar worked over the Usos for a bit.
I thought the Usos got eliminated because we came back from break.
They were gone for ages.
And it was just Heavy Machinery and the Bar with the Usos nowhere in sight.
I really like the Heavy Machinery monkey flip into a power slam. That's a cool looking thing.
I think they're a really, really fun tag team.
But Sheamus eliminated Tucker. They look great, though, even though they were out second. They look great. And then the Usos quickly eliminated the Bar shortly after to win. So it was Machinery were really close to winning. They shouldn't have.
No, absolutely
because it's far too early for them. But really good first step of getting them over.
Agreed.
And they'll face, it will be the Usos against Shane McMahon and The Miz. And I just thought, there is such a gulf in talent there.
I can't wait for you to get so annoyed when Shane starts out wrestling the Usos.
Oh my God. It's offensive. So I really enjoyed this SmackDown. Not that much wrestling on, but I'm a bit tired of wrestling from Royal Rumble. There was a lot of matches there. So I'd easily a Smacktastic for me. 4 out of 5.
I gave it a high smack bang in the middle, and only reason why was like I like wrestling on my wrestling show, and really like you could argue there's only one match on this show because the other two only went a couple of minutes combined. So. And it was really weird.
Yeah.
So I would argue that there was only one real wrestling match on this show. In a 2-hour broadcast, there was just like every time another promo segment started, I was like, come on. It's just so much talking on this show. But all this, I think it was, for once, a newsworthy episode of SmackDown Live. But there was not enough wrestling for me, so I had to knock it down ever so slightly.
I think that's fair enough. Before we get out here, let's do some Patreon shout-outs to our $25 and above backers. So thank you, Michael Charles Montgomery Burns.
Sorry, I didn't realize I thought you were going to go
I'll
to a
keep going.
break.
Frolicking in a Cade Feuding. Woo!
Oh, he's frolicking around. Bruiser, Braid, Shane.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Brad. You said Braid.
Did I say Braid? It's because I think I was trying to pronounce his surname first.
Big Bad Blakey Lloyd.
It's just Blake Lloyd.
Blake Lloyd. I'm taking a leaf out of your mispronunciation book.
Boom, boom. Colt Sample. Yeah, lovely stuff.
Riding on a sea, Sawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Laughing Laura.
Courageous Caleb.
Oh, yes.
Do it, man.
Absolutely. Driller Killer David Humphreys. Nice.
Have you seen Netflix have a documentary movie on root canals?
Why would anyone watch that?
Devious Daryl Dominic.
Yeah, nice, yes. They are only known as #Team LOL.
Who are they, though?
Well, their name on Patreon is Team LOL.
Cool. Would you like some Edward Fries with that?
Oh,
so his name's Edward Fries?
It is, yes.
Great.
Mr. Plow, that's his name. That name again is Mr. Plow Man.
Plowman.
There he is, Mr.
Give it up for the
Plowman.
Plowman. Thank you so much for watching today, and click the videos that have just appeared on our desk to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk things. And this button right here on Patreon will let you get your own shout-outs if you choose to support this noble cause. I've been Ollie Davis, this has been Luke Owen, and that was Rambling.